Hello, dear ones. We have a new moon on August 16th in Cancer in Vedic Astrology, and this is an incredibly transformational new moon with a major new start. New moons are always new starts, but this is an important new start. It's a very mystical new moon, and we have Venus in retrograde very close by. This is at the last degrees of Cancer, and it's our second new moon in a row in Cancer, as we had the first one last month, just at the very beginning of Cancer. Very, very potent time. We're really diving into those issues around the heart and home and family, devotion, domestic issues, and communication is going to be extra emotional. You're going to want to breathe. Venus retrograde is really triggering us around our security in relationships, our attachments, our needs, our wants, and desires. Hi, I'm Prema Gurreri, and welcome to Chart Your Path. So glad that you're here. If you haven't already subscribed, I so appreciate if you do, and like and share this on the other social platforms and such. And please leave me comments. I read all my comments. If you don't know what your Vedic Astrology ascendant or moon sign is, the link to the chart calculator is in the description below on my website, solutionary.com, SOULUTIONARY.com. Also, the link to taking the free Sacred Wealth Code Archetype quiz. Find out one of your Sacred Wealth Code Archetypes. All my readings, and I've opened up some new spaces. I do have time for you and to do your chart. So readings and healing sessions as well. August 16th, new moon at 29 degrees of Cancer in Ashlesha. In Vedic Astrology, this is major new beginnings and very deep transformation. It is at the Gandanta point. Cancer is it's a water sign. It's very devotional, but it's also very emotional. It's emotional till we get deeper into that devotion. It is the place of the heart, the home, family. It's a sign of nurturing. It's ruled by, in the archetype system, the great nurturer. And this is a place where we take care of ourselves, where we take care of our family, our home, those we care about. It's actually a place of retreat from the world as far as home and family goes. And it is a place where we are aware of our emotional needs. With the Venus retrograde that we've been going through and will be until September 5th, that's now retrograded back into Cancer. This brings up even more so as we reevaluate these deep emotional needs that we do have, our needs, our wants, our desires, our security in relationships, our values. These are all up on the surface for all of us. And there are issues to be reevaluated, looked at again. And this new moon gives us an opportunity to get a new start around some of those things as well. We can let our emotions manage us, or we can manage our emotions. So we have to be aware of them first. Emotions is energy in motion. And we can use that super productively. We want to create, we want to manifest, but we're creating and manifesting all the time. So however we're feeling is what we are also attracting to us. But there's a lot of energy coming up now that feels a little bit out of control, especially with this being in the Gandanta placement. And then Gandanta, just so to remind you, because we've had a lot of planets marching through between water and fire, there is no nakshatra, no grouping of stars that bridges that gap. So we have the ending in Cancer, and then Leo starts the next sign, the fire sign. And in this place of in between where this new moon is, it's a place of release, but it feels out of control. They say, Gandanta meaning drowning, and a place where we untie our karmic knots. We don't, they get untied by the circumstances that arise. But in order to release, we have to let go of control, and that's not easy to do. So be aware of what and who you are trying to control right now, where you have a tight grip. That's where it's time to do some release. I'll talk a little bit more about that and how to do that. Ashlesha, the nakshatra, very mystical nakshatra in Cancer, where this new moon is happening, is in the constellation of Hydra. It's ruled by the water snake, which means to entangle or to embrace whatever it is focused on. And currently, it's can really entangle us in these more difficult emotions. This nakshatra kind of swings in both directions. It's incredibly mystical and potent and transformative, and it has the side that can also be more challenging, create worry, and can actually even wound and hurt. So it is very healing, the snake. It is sensitive by nature, and you don't always see where the snake is, things below the surface. It does rule medicines and herbs, so it has this deep healing ability, but also has the potentiality to poison and wound. But then it also has the potentiality to then again heal whatever the wound is, just like the toxic plant has the antidote plant usually growing right next to it. So where you're feeling challenged, where you're feeling wounded potentially, the solution, the answer, the healing is not far away, but you'll have to not blame and take a step back and feel deeply and tune in so that you can allow the healing antidote to arise for you. The representation here also is of the Kundalini energy at the base of the spine, and of course when the Kundalini is activated, it really brings in those mystical powers and those enlightened experiences and divine wisdom, and also can bring in deep passion, but you want to use this energy very wisely. That means to use it consciously. And in order for that energy to be released, usually that's a yogic practice, meditation, and you'll want to, in order to get that far, I want to say down below the surface and to the gifts that are there, you do need to take a step out. You do need to take that time for a spiritual practice, for some quiet times, for some deep contemplation, for doing some Kundalini yoga, doing some breath work, something to connect with that energy, but have the intention of using it wisely. What do you want to use it for? Awakening? Okay, that's beautiful. If you're wanting to use it for passion, there can be a lot of transcendence that can happen with passion as long as it's conscious. You'll want to watch what you say. This nakshatra is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury rules more of our intellect, our mind in that way. And the moon, where Cancer is ruled by the moon, is more our consciousness and that aspect of mind. So there's the ability to really deeply think and really go deep into sort of the intellect, into the consciousness here. But with the Mercury aspect, that communication, also, we're going to want to watch that. Mercury can be very convincing at times. So notice if you're trying to be convincing or if someone's trying to convince you. That's usually not 100% aligned. You want to speak from the heart. You want to make sure things are congruent and aligned, not just for you, but for everybody concerned. So take the time to again tune in. If you speak from the heart, you can't go wrong. But what does it take to speak from the heart? It takes sometimes really analyzing sometimes our own thoughts, not just expressing them to someone else, and trying to have a conversation, which with the right person we can absolutely do that. But we can tend to be reactive in that situation. You might want to journal. You might want to just take that time out to really think about what is it that you're wanting to communicate. The shadow side here can also be worry and fear. And with the Gandanta placement, that can definitely exaggerate that. So be aware. If you're stuck in worry, you're praying for what you don't want. You're sending that emotional energy, worried about something that hasn't happened yet, giving it energy so that it could potentially happen. So don't do that. Or you're in fear, and fear, false evidence appearing real. And yes, there is real fear that comes up, but usually we respond and react in the moment if that's actually the case. So just be aware. If you're stuck in worry and fear, you need to take a step back. It's time to do some release work, time to do some clearing work. I do that in all my programs. All my readings even are very transformational in that way, and my full moon healing circle and my healing sessions as well. You want to be very aware of your inner conversations, that the discussions you're having in your head with yourself. There's a lot of clues here to what it is that you might be struggling with internally here. this has been going on with the Venus retrograde, the great connector, has really been like wants, needs, desires, relationship patterns, all revisiting, coming up. And then depending on what Cancer rules for you and what Leo is rules for you, because that's where Venus was retrograding and now into Cancer, that's that area of life might be where those relationships more so are coming up. But in general, they're coming up. I know I've had to watch I've been the audience to the discussions going on in my head, and I've just been a good audience and not let them come out my mouth until I've done the processing I need to. So sometimes you just have to sit back and watch your own inner show, journal about that. But what patterns are coming up? Let's not repeat these patterns. Let's get off the merry-go-round. Let's break these patterns. Let's release them. Patterns are programs typically, and so we keep repeating. Pattern is something repeating, a set of beliefs, habits, behaviors that we're and in that repeating of that pattern, at some point we need a pattern interrupt. We have to step out of that. That's why I create a lot of clearing processes. We need to step out of that in order to break and free that energy. Otherwise, you have this locked ball of energy. And then we can move on to something new. But this full moon gives us so much potency, so much energy to really start something new and to break these patterns. So notice the dialogue in your head and journal about them before you just let it come out your mouth, and make sure you get very clear about things. The sun is about to go into Leo, and that's where we really express ourselves, the leader, the king, and in our big bold ways. And again, whatever Leo rules for you, especially in that area of life. So we want to, Cancer is a place of more self-care and nurturing, again, the great nurturer. So make sure that you, at the end of the cycle here, before the sun does transition after this new moon, have you done the self-care that you need? Do you feel ready to, express yourself? And some of us are not going to, especially with this Venus retrograde. So do your inner work, okay? Soul work takes time. It does, but it is so worth it. That way we're not just doing the same thing the same old way. So on this new moon, plant your seeds, your new intentions. Every new moon is a start of a new cycle. And in order to plant those seeds, those new intentions, because it is truly time for a new beginning, and there is so much transformational energy here, really giving us the energy we need to really start something new, you need to take the time to go within and tune into your heart and ask the really important questions. What is it that I am being called to start new? You may have started this before. This may be something completely you haven't thought about. It might be starting something new in a relationship, or a new way you're taking care of yourself, new commitment to yourself, something new in your business, a new way of expressing yourself. What are you ready to start new? And for relationship issues, remember not to take action until September 5th, when Venus goes direct, if you possibly can, because you're still revisiting some of those issues, okay? Those relationship issues. And if you're not, cool, you've done your healing work and you're good to go. But if you are, use this time to do your work and get to the bottom of what's really going on for you. What do you really desire? What's your heart really want? Are the relationships meeting that? What do you need to do, shift, change, so that you can meet them? We'll be working on this in the Full Moon Healing Circle on the full moon on August 30th, and the link is down below. The last Full Moon Healing Circle I did, the replay is available still, and we worked on relationship stuff then as well, relationship issues, and this will be the second phase on the next Full Moon Healing Circle. So lots of support there for you if you want to partake in that. So what you want to do is journal, as I mentioned, about those conversations going on in your head. Journal about what it is. Really tune into your heart. Take the time to close your eyes and drop in and drop into your heart. What is it you want to start new? Okay, don't keep repeating those patterns. Get some healing help if you need to. Get some deeper insight. And make sure you process things so that before you share them, so you're not just sharing your reactions with somebody else. Instead, you're sharing from a place of clarity. Speak from the heart. Speak from the heart. You can't go wrong. Speak from the heart. And, and what is your heart really wanting for you? That's a question you can live with on a daily basis. What is your heart really wanting for you? One more thing here with this new moon is that Uranus is squaring this. And so because of the square in Aries from Uranus is in Aries, you want to watch out for the emotional storms on the new moon that can happen. And also Uranus is our great planet of unexpected changes. Keep your sea legs on, stay cool, deepen your breath, and do what the other things I said, and just stay out of arguments, okay? But if something unexpected comes up, that is definitely possible, but trust that the change is for you and not against you. One other thing I want you to be aware of is Mercury and Mars are super close together at this new moon in Leo, and so the communication is really heated up by Mars with Mercury, and so it's also good for brilliance and productivity and things like that, but breathe before you speak. Again, like I said, speak from the heart. Just take a deep breath before you speak, because this can make us a little bit more on the reactive side, and we really want to be careful for that. So you can ask yourself, do I really need to say this? And just get clear on what and the other question to ask is, what do I really want to say? What do I really want to say? Okay? So take really good care of yourself. If we're expecting others to meet our needs, wants, and desires, we are giving our power away. You need to get clear on what you need in order to meet those, and then make the choices necessary in your life in order to do that. I appreciate you being here. Comment. Let me know what's going on for you. What are you starting new? What are you calling in? What's coming up in relationships for you? How's this energy hitting you? I'm very interested in knowing. And again, if you want to book a reading with me, a healing session, full moon healing circle, or any of my programs, or the free resources I mentioned in the beginning, all the links are in the description below. All right. So much love to you.